We are back with a recap of the Cleveland Browns' deflating loss to the Miami Dolphins in Miami this week by the score of 17-39. The game actually had a really nice start for the Browns, a good return by Jerome Ford, who is back from IR this week. Maybe we see a little bit more of him we see a lot more of him in that role, not only just this season, but moving forward throughout his early career as that progresses. Maybe he just becomes a designated kickoff return guy for a while. And that first drive ended on a touchdown pass to Harrison Bryant off of a nice fake to Nick Chubb. But the Dolphins would respond with a dominant touchdown drive of their own. The Dolphins having a good offense, so you think maybe they just had some nice scripted plays going. Hopefully maybe the defense can adjust. Spoiler alert, that did not happen. Nick Chubb fumbling at the end of the quarter as well when the Browns were driving around the Dolphins' 30-yard line. And whenever Nick Chubb fumbles in a game, that's how you know that the vibes are a little off and, maybe it's not the Browns' day. I remember Nick Chubb does not fumble the ball often, and when you do, you usually remember the games that he fumbles in. I remember last year's opening game against Kansas City, and I think the year before that it was that, maybe not the year before, yeah, I think it might have been the year before that it was the game against the Patriots in the Freddie Kitchens year. So Nick Chubb fumbling is an event. It doesn't happen very often. And honestly, to me, they just makes me sad. Not so much because the Browns lose the ball, but because I know that Nick Chubb is just feeling awful and feeling bad about it. I don't think there's anyone on the Browns or in their fan base, on the coaching staff, nothing that is a worse critic of Nick Chubb when he fumbles other than Nick Chubb. You can tell when he's upset with himself after a play like that. So you just kind of feel for him whenever you see that happen. The Dolphins do get a field goal out of that drive, so it's not like they convert it for a touchdown, but they still do get points off of it. And at this point, it is pretty obvious that the Dolphins are stacking the box defensively. They're trying to make it hard for the Browns to run the ball, and they're trying to make the Browns beat them through the passing game. And for the most part, throughout the entire game, the Dolphins did do a really good job of keeping the Browns' running game in check for the most part. The Browns fail a 4th and 3. It's a pass intended for Donovan Peoples-Jones. He wanted a flag. I didn't see a whole lot, especially when those kind of plays when the refs do tend to swallow the whistle a little bit. The Finns' rushing attack was also doing very well against this Browns defense early on in the second quarter. The Dolphins were driving, and then I think Jordan Kunasek with a nice stop on Jeff Wilson on 4th and 1. But the Dolphins do get a stop on the Browns before the the second quarter ends, and they end up scoring a touchdown to Tyreek Hill before the half would be over. And so they're up, I believe it was 17-7 before the second half begins, and they get the ball first, and they have another dominating drive, just taking the Browns defense to school any way they want to, over the air, on the ground. Did not matter. It did not matter at all. The Browns defense were pretty hapless to stop the Dolphins in anything they were trying to do. They score another touchdown, and the game is suddenly 7-24. This is about to be over before it already begins. The Browns respond with a field goal on the next drive, which you'd like to see them put in 7, but at this point, just getting more points, getting it back to within a 2-score game does show some fight. However, the very next drive, the Browns defense would give up yet another touchdown. So it's 31-7. It's 31-10. Excuse me. I'm having to do math in my head. I shouldn't have to do math when I'm watching football. I should just be talking about the team that I like winning. I don't like doing math when everything's bad. But the Browns defense giving up another touchdown. It's 31-10. That's the score heading into the fourth quarter. But then Nick Chubb breaks a 33-yard touchdown run on a shotgun draw on a game where he's had a pretty quiet game. He breaks one for a touchdown. You're thinking, if the Browns defense can hold it together and the Browns offense can gain some momentum off of that spark there, maybe the Browns can make something happen out of a miracle. The Finns then get a field goal, but that does keep it a 2-score game. So the Browns defense bending but not breaking. But then on the next drive, it's pretty flat. Jacoby Brissett gets sacked on a 4th down conversion. And then from the Browns 20-yard line, the Dolphins run it in for a touchdown on the very next play. That's pretty much the ball game. There is still like 7 minutes or so left to play, but honestly, that was pretty much just garbage time. So credit to the Dolphins defense. They did a really nice job keeping the running game under wraps. I think Nick Chubb only had like 50-some yards, and again, most of that did come off of that touchdown run. And the Browns were playing behind for most of the game, so maybe some people will look at Nick Chubb's rushing attempts and think, hey, that's not enough carries. But honestly, Nick Chubb's rushes weren't that productive anyway when he was getting the ball. Amari Cooper only had 2 catches for 20 yards. That's, again, credit to the Dolphins defense giving the Browns' best players a tough time making anything productive. Although Donovan Peoples-Jones did have a nice game with 5 catches for a total of 99 yards. Hopefully, he's having a quietly really good season, and hopefully that continues not just this season again, but into his career, because this season is getting closer and closer to just being over before the Browns see their starting quarterback, Deshaun Watson, come back. And this Browns defense was just horrid today. Even if the Browns offense was clicking on full cylinder, who knows if they get this done, because the Browns defense is just awful. I don't think it's going to be an issue of if Joe Woods is fired. I just think it's going to be when Joe Woods gets fired. Is it some point in mid-season? I don't think so, because they had a bye week and everything. I don't think he gets fired in the second half of the season. I think in the offseason they probably say, hey, Joe Woods, it's time to move on. Even if the Browns defense somehow picks it up and has a great final 8 games of play, this is now the second year. Even if that happens, why does it take a whole half of a season for the defense to show up consistently? The rushing defense has been pretty bad for the most part. It was okay against the Ravens. The Bengals didn't utilize Joe Mixon good enough early, and then the game got behind them, so they really couldn't go back to Joe Mixon in that game. And now just another game against a Miami Dolphins offense that probably isn't known for their rushing attack there. What they're known for is their two-headed monster and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. The rushing attack, sure, Jeff Wilson, he looked really good. The Browns have made a lot of running backs look really good this season. That running back should definitely be thanking the Browns for other teams anyway. Should be thanking the Browns for giving them their highlight package for the next 5 years so they can negotiate better deals. That's nice. Whatever's going on with this defense, whether it's the coaching, the personnel, it's both. It's probably a little bit of both. It's probably an ugly cocktail of everything going wrong, but it's gross. It's been gross most games. That game against the Bengals, maybe like it was last year, seems kind of like a fluke victory, like the Browns playing their best game and the Bengals playing their worst game kind of thing. That happened last year. Maybe this year looks like kind of like the same thing. But again, I don't think Joe Woods is the defensive coordinator for this Browns team next season, nor do I think he should be. And honestly, if the defense keeps playing like this, he might not be able to even play out the string. But hey, that's just me. So that's pretty much it for the video. Thank you all for watching. If you did make it this far, please feel free to leave a like and a subscribe. If you enjoyed the video and you would like to see more like it, let me know what you think about the Browns game and them moving forward down in the comments below. And I will see you at the next one.